whole bunch of behind the scenes things going on. It just kind of felt like a show where people were just making mistakes and trying to find love or whatever. And then like the kind of the backlash kind of happened after the show. Like we saw Shelly and Elandria having some racist things going on with them outside of the show. And this season, it seemed like as soon as Casey made the comment of "You're the blueprint," that's when like a lot of the discourse started. And like I'm like, okay, hold on, why? Like what about that conversation made that a like he was performative? You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where a lot of it started. Like he wasn't doing anything wrong up to that point, but yet the discourse was coming, and I feel like a lot of brothers were like could like relate to that sentiment. And I think that's why a lot of us are coming in to like kind of like defend the case, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. And I do feel like a lot of us can see ourselves in Casey, which is why we have a lot more discourse than we did last year. I feel like Ace, he was kind of like a influencer type of guy, probably not as relatable as a Casey. And he's the only brother on the show this season. Like we had a few brothers last year. The brothers didn't really come until Casa, So that I think that's why we have a lot more men coming in. And it's a show that involves men. It's women and men. And I feel like if you're only taking the perspective of women on a show that involves dating, you're not going to get the full picture. So I think that's why a lot of men are coming up to step in.
Very valid. I love those points. Real Dope Daddy, same question to you. I mean, what is it that has driven men to watch so much this particular season from your perspective and what you observed?
I think it's a good show. I think it's a good show. I think more and more people are talking about it on social media. I think guys are watching it with the women in their life. They might get put onto it that way, but it's a good show and it's going to spread. As soon as you start hearing guys talk about it, more guys are going to start watching it. But I think it's like an anthropological study, right? It's just like a great opportunity to study people. That's what I do when I watch it, right? I'm studying people. I'm learning, and that's why it's interesting to me. Um, it's I understand the idea that girls think it's a girls show, but it's not. Not even nothing about it is like maybe it's slightly appeals towards women. However, it's a show full of like naked women on the beach and guys macking on them, right? Like that's not a show that men wouldn't watch. Like we grew up watching those. I know at least me, like College Hill and stuff like that. We used to love those types of shows. And this is just nothing but another one. You get to see the guys do their thing, and you get to see who you're gonna root for. You get to see who you're not gonna root for, all this type of stuff. So, but I think I love the fact that men are watching it, because I do think a lot of politics are at play, and I think that's corny. Like, oh, I like this person, so I think they should win, or I like this individual for whatever reason because I see myself in them, no matter what's right, what's wrong. I think that's I think it's corny. So
I appreciate that. Now, you two have got a great actually perspective. I can actually ask because a lot of the discourse I saw as well around this thing was that men were watching because of their partners as well, right? And both of you have also mentioned about watching it with your partner as well in that particular space and having those conversations. So then I would ask this question: how has Love Island impacted your relationship through these discourses, through watching Love Island, through seeing what you're seeing on the screen? Has it even impacted, or is it just a show for you guys? You know what I mean? Like, has it impacted your relationship in any particular way? Because I think that's a lot of the discourse that was happening online with a lot of some of the ladies. You know what I'm saying? She's saying that they'll have to check their man now because all of a sudden if they support Gay Z, it's like, oh, I now know he's this kind of man. So I would love to know from both of your perspectives, like, it has Love Island impacted your relationship in any form or fashion in that particular space? Raw Dope Daddy, I'll let you go first this time. Has it impacted you in any way in your relationship?
no, not at all. Not at all. We had a conversations. We talk about the show. We agree on literally everything. Because we watch it together and we point out things together. So yeah, no, it's we love Love Island. We love watching it together. We love talking about it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My wife kind of agrees with everything that's been going on, in my opinion. So I feel like back when we were younger, we probably would have had like some some things that we disagreed on. But now I feel like she kind of like thinks more logically than she used to. So I feel like it's more, even if we do disagree, we're able to have like good balanced conversations. But we typically agree on everything that happened this season. So
I love that. Okay, let's get into some Love Island stuff then, because Boy, oh boy, this season has chalked up probably one of the biggest talking points around a contestant that I think I've ever seen. Of course, the show is getting more eyes on it. We're in our 8th season. I've watched at least the last 3 or 4 seasons, actually. But this particular season has erupted in conversations. We're more engaged, I think, we've ever been. And I guess the first question I want to ask here is, a black man on our screen in a dating realm, and he seemingly had a different experience to all the other Love Island folk on our screens. So you said something, Khalid, earlier on about we can see ourselves in KC. And I think that was a great point that you made. So my question then in this space to kind of kick us off is, what was the experience that you felt like you were connecting with that KC was having on Love Island? What experience was he having on Love Island that you were able to kind of identify and say, I've probably had something very similar in that space?
I feel like men, when a woman's feelings is hurt, we kind of like to put our feelings on the back burner a lot. And sometimes we may apologize for things that we don't really want to apologize for. And I'm not even talking about the end of the show. I'm just talking about like how Casey and Aniah's relationship was at first. It was a lot of like reassuring and a lot of like over explaining, when really it should just be like a one-time conversation. And I feel like one thing that Casey probably messed up on is not really being upfront with like, I'm not really feeling heard here. And the connection isn't as compatible as it is. And a lot of things that we do is we don't want to hurt the person's feelings. So we just kind of like push it to the side and just continue to move on. And I feel like that's why he even said himself that he had a lot of resentment, because he pent things up. And I think that's what a lot of us do, when we honestly should just be upfront. Hey, I'm not really feeling this. And I think it would have been better from that point on. So I think that's how we kind of relate to Casey in that matter.
Love that. Rodo Daddy, same question to you. What were you identifying with the Casey experience?
I don't think I was actually identifying with anything from KC. The one thing I did acknowledge is that I understand that he's young, and I know that when I was that age, I wasn't that perceptive of the world around me, of like the women around me and how they felt about certain things. I wasn't necessarily a leader, right? I was more defensive, those type of things. But I think that's what anybody that's young, you're going to be like that. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily identified with him, but I could identify what was going on. I could identify, where the women, I've dealt with women like Aniah before. I've dealt with women like all of the women on there, and I understand where they are. I understand how much growth Aniah will do, and how she'll look back and be like, damn, I would look crazy, right? Like, I understand that from everybody. So yeah, it's not that I see myself in him, but I see what's going on. So
appreciate his thoughts, man. Love to see daddies doing their thing, man. I should say pause on that because I was a bit wrong, but I love to see that the dads are doing their thing. Khalid, you spoke about obviously also kind of like going into that space, and I can definitely identify with something like Casey. I think not having as much assertiveness as I needed to be able to say my feelings, and kind of allowing someone else's feelings to hijack my own experience in that space, leading to what we see. This is where I believe that I think we can all agree where Casey needed to, if Casey is few more years, get a bit more experience under his belt, this will definitely teach him like to learn to be a bit more assertive with his feelings and put his feelings first. That sometimes being first, it may make you look like a villain, but in the end, you're a hero to yourself, because you're always going to be a villain to someone. You know what I mean? If you put their feelings first, he saw it now, he's still a villain, right? You also mentioned about that identification, that space. What else is it that Casey, because I want to keep it, I don't want to say balance, but I want to at least give an idea, because people are obviously complaining about Casey. What else is it Casey was doing in this villa that prompted some of the responses that he was getting? For instance, they said he was disrespectful. He was not being honest about the soul, connection that he might have had. What other behaviors were we seeing from Casey that, as a man, we can see? Okay, you know what? In a few years' time, Casey, you got to work that out so that you're in a better position than where you were this particular season in Love Island.
Yeah, I mean, if he was more direct with his feelings and wasn't holding anything back, I feel like he would have had a chance to explore with Soul the way that he kind of wanted to. I feel like he kind of put that on the background, and he was really like wishy washy with the whole. Oh, I didn't explore Soul because it's sincere. Oh, I told you I was gonna explore, but I wouldn't do it if there was if I don't want to force it. If it's not there, it's not there. You know what I mean? But I feel like if he would have just put himself first and said, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do," and I'm not going to do that, I feel like people would have a little bit more respect for it. You know what I mean? And I think it opens up what his true intentions are. Because for me, I could kind of look behind the lines and see he just didn't want to hurt her feelings. And the first time he asked her, or she asked him, "Are you going to explore that?" He said yes. She cried and he was wiping away her tears. That's gonna make somebody not want to go through with something because I already have something strong here. Why would I? She's obviously upset. Why would I put that away to go explore something that might not even work? You know what I mean? So I feel like if he was just more direct with himself, and he wouldn't have had that resentment, and I feel like this would have went a lot better.
I hear that. Rolled up, Daddy.
Yeah, man. I think I was watching the show and I was like, yo, I just wish that he was a little bit older and he could control the room. He could handle, the woman's feelings and all that type of stuff. That's what I ideally wanted. Like even when he came back with TT, he didn't have to. He didn't have to. I don't know if he understood it, but you can still have Anaya to a degree, right? Like come back with TT. You can communicate to Anaya. Let her get off everything that she feels. Right? She's hurt. Let her say everything that she wants to, but then communicate to her like, hey, I'm not replacing you with TT. I just want to explore the connection. I want to test our connection, right? I think that he could have absolutely still been able to explore Naya and explore TT, but he got so defensive, and I get it. They were screaming at him, yelling at him, and he just was like, "Yo, fuck it."
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I would have loved for that. I would have loved for him to just kind of handle it a little bit better, but he's just so young. He don't got the experience to kind of handle, juggle those women's feelings and stuff like that. So,
and that's a good point too, because I got a little bit of flack for this, but I even said right after they went off on him and everything, in that moment, I'm okay with him like being there and being quiet because honestly, like you being talked over, you being yelled at, and you being cursed out, I get that. But for me, I would have loved for him to pull her to the side the day after. They didn't talk until after the next vote or whatever. It was like the next episode. He didn't talk to her all day. I would have preferred, let's just put water on the bridge. Let's communicate our feelings. And like you said, I still kind of want to explore that. I just wanted to test our connection and see if there's anything more. But I got a lot of flack for that for some reason. I don't know.
I would have wanted him to do that the same night, right?
Same night, yeah.
And that's what she wanted, right? So it's honestly manipulation, but I'm not saying that it's like coercion or nothing like that. But Anaya ultimately wanted him to come check on her that same night.
Yep.
She wanted him to come chase her, come follow me, come make sure that I'm okay, come tell me that I'm not leaving you. Like she wanted all of that, and typically that's probably how she goes about getting her reassurance, and ultimately she'll grow out of it. But yeah, I would have wanted him to kind of communicate to her that same day, the same night, and just
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think in that scenario, I definitely, and this is where we might disagree a little bit, and that's actually really good. Actually, it's got different points of view. So I think in that scenario, for him, I wish he would have leaned more into that villain. I say this because once you get into a place where you don't give a heck, you are the invincible one. Once you start giving a heck, that's where people start twisting you up. Because he gave a heck, he kind of half-heartedly kind of did this thing. Do you get me? So if you're coming back with TT and you come back in that room, right? I need you, and it's not necessarily what you just say, it's the energy that you carry. I wanted him just to stand and say, listen, I've chosen it. It is what it is. Boom. And cry back. And then be done. Because the reason why Corbin gets away because obviously we're talking about colorism later on, but what Corbin is like, I'm just not gonna argue with you, bro. Like, I've chosen. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna move me. You know what I'm saying to you? And again, Love Island's a bit of a game. So when you and I'm sure you guys will also recognize, hang around with dudes who don't really give a heck. See, the reason why women chose bad boys is because they just don't give a heck. If they're gonna choose, they're gonna choose it. They're gonna go that way, they're gonna go with it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Problem is, there's something you can do about KC because he doesn't always stand all the 10 toes down. He kind of like cares about your feelings and cares about his feelings, and he's trying to do both. And when you're juggling both, you've got a problem. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because you're going to become a villain anyway. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I don't think there's nothing he could have done to not become a villain. I think even if he had gone to check up on her, had a conversation after, should have called him a coward, should have called him this, should have called him that, should have been as angry as she would have been anyhow. But at least you'd have been like, you know what? I'm 10 toes down. Do you how you feel? I'm here. You know, so, you got to meet that villain. That's what I feel like. Go for it.
No, I think that's an option, right? And I think that's what he did, but I don't think he committed to it as hard as you wanted him to commit.
I'm saying, yeah.
But I think he definitely got to the point of like, all right, fuck it. I'm picking TT and, you know, it is what it is type of situation. But I absolutely think that he would have come out on top if he had the skills to, like, you know, say, like, let TT know, like, listen, I know when we get back here, like, she's going to be hysterical, but I want to explore both of y'all. TT would have been fine, right? She already knew that he had a relationship. You know, she cool, right? I'd have told TT that. And when I got back there, I'd have said, Anaya, say everything you have to say. I know you hurt. You know, say everything you got to say. That's what they wanted him to be, a man, right? They wanted him to be a man, like who can like withstand all that little nonsense you're saying, and I know you don't mean it, right? That can withstand that and then go and talk to you when I know what you're about to do. I know you just want me to hug you. I know you want me to pick you up, right? And just comfort you real quick and let you know that, yo, I still like, we still got a strong connection, even if it's been shaky. I'm not necessarily up and leaving you, right? She wanted to hear all of those things. And I can bring you breakfast the next morning. You'll be all right? Like, I think he could have had both of them, you know? And I think that if he was a little older and wiser, he could have helped Anaya out with those insecurities, kind of like pull her out of that a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I also feel like, I don't know if he had like I don't know if he felt safe to have that conversation, but like you said, as a man, I feel like you kind of got to go into the fire a little bit and just like give that space. And if she declines you, she declines you. Like when Zach chose Kata over Kenzie, he went up to her like 2 times. Like, hey, do you want to have a conversation to talk about everything that just went down? She declined twice. That puts all the blame off of him. It's in Kenzie's court if she wants to continue to have a friendship, if she wants to have any more clarification, and if she wants to have all these misconceptions about how he was feeling towards her or whatever, that's completely on her because she didn't want to have that conversation, you know?
No, I definitely hear what you're saying. He could have said, obviously, let's talk about it and et cetera, after, innit? Yeah, I guess, like I said, I think there's different ways to do it, innit? Do you get what I'm saying to you? I think for me personally, the moment that I would have heard any kind of cussing out, I'm not having a conversation after that. I would have leaned into my villain mode. You can cuss me, do whatever you want. I promise you, I'm not gonna care. Because once you start insulting me, you've crossed the line for me. You know what I'm saying to you? But again, that's an energy in itself. So I don't know if it would have even got there because there's a thing where it's like, I'm not gonna move with you. So it is what it is. I think he could have done both Anaya and TT, but I also see why he didn't. I'm tired of fulfilling your dreams, bro. I'm tired of pouring into you, talking. I don't want to do it no more. I want to be rid. It's a weight. It's dragging me down. You know, I can't be free. I'm not even laughing no more. You know what I'm saying to you? It's got a hold on me. So I can see why maybe he didn't want to do both, but I can see how he also could have done both if it needed to, if he felt like he wanted to do that as well. So I definitely hear that perspective. I want to throw something at you guys as well. I want to see what you guys' thoughts are, right? Because I said this to my audience, and I'd love to have different points of view and stuff. I said that when I look at the definition of verbal and emotional abuse, that's what Casey suffered. I feel like it actually got to verbal and emotional abuse, and I was disappointed in the show. First of all, not even putting a disclaimer at the beginning of the show because that was verbal and emotional abuse, and also two, the fact that we didn't see that I wouldn't say punishment, but I would say that there was nobody got involved, nothing. We just saw her come and apologize, and people think that it's over once that happens. But the reality of the situation is, if I have to stand there and take a barrage of insults, and then later on in movie night, they kind of do what they do, and you come over and you stand in my face. At this point, we've gone from even verbal, to now even we're getting to physical because we're closing spaces and we're standing over people insulting. I said at that point, production had two choices. Either we should see people running on that screen to get involved, or she has to be removed. Because it actually was a very dangerous thing to happen. That if Casey is not the guy that he is, and she meets someone else who don't give a heck, right? It's a very dangerous situation for someone to run up on you and put themselves over you, pointing at you, cussing you right there and then in a heated situation. I thought that was on the verge of emotional verbal abuse. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. If you have a different point of view, if you saw it differently in that particular space as well. We all see things differently, so I can understand that. Real dope, you've got your mic open, go for it, and then I'll go to Khalid after.
No, I definitely think if they would have removed her, I think that would have been perfect. That would have sent the right message. I think that they actually did talk to her and get her to apologize, because that apology looked real. It seemed real like, oh, let me go and apologize real quick, and because they told me to. But I definitely think if they'd have just like removed her from that scene real quick, or like you said, I think that would have been perfect. It would have sent the right message, because it's not okay. Like, have you lost your mind? This is not a man who's been with you for several years, right? This is a man you've known for a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever. And you about to get in his face and try to emasculate him to get him to sit down. It's just ridiculous. So,
go for it, Khalid.
Yeah, I wasn't even really too mad at like when the night was going off on KC at the recoupling. I wasn't that mad. Like, you and your emotions, go ahead have it. But I would have preferred it to just be a one-on-one conversation, and then once she's done saying what she says, then he can go in. But it was the whole Kata and Trinity inserting himself, and all of them coming at him at the same time. And at that point, I'm not even really tripping about that. But when we get to movie night, and we saw how the tensions were high in the first situation, for them not to step in and get things under control in that movie night, I just felt like we just want to monetize off of this trauma right now, and we don't want to step in and navigate the situation. Even in the recoupling, I feel like Ariana, she's the host, she's like the game manager in a sense. Why are we not interjecting ourselves and say, hey, this is not the time for Trinity for you to ask questions about something else. Let's just have this be a one-on-one conversation. That was not done in movie night either. So like, I feel like if you're gonna be there to host something, or if you're gonna have be a show and you're gonna have full control over what's seen and how the people conduct themselves, I feel like y'all have to step in and make sure that this is a safe space for everybody involved. Even if the dude did some stuff that wasn't okay, that's a different discussion. There has to be a safe space for intentions and everything to be put out there, so that the image can still be intact. Because right now it's just Casey is a bad person. We're all gonna check him on the stuff, and that's not really what happened in my opinion.
It's interesting because there is a discourse now that was happening at the time that was really interesting, because I felt like gaslighting, because they put TT as the aggressor and not Anaya. And I found that to be quite wild that they flipped it. Even Anaya herself was saying it's not Bad Girls Club, and then did a Bad Girls movement, which was just so ironic in that immediate moment in that space. I want to ask a question maybe in that two questions, obviously, and you can answer both of them as well. How did you feel about the fact they switched TT as the aggressor almost in that situation? Like, why is she getting involved? Why is she talking? Why is she raising? Why is she even saying anything? And then two as well, how does a man handle that situation accordingly so that doesn't happen again? Because that situation, I'm sure other men are going to watch that. And what I don't want a man to have to knock a girl out. I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying to you? You know what I mean? Even if that girl gets in your face, but I also don't want him to have to incur that situation. And I do believe that situation is preventable in shape or form. I'm sure you guys have, as you've grown and become more mature, you ain't have no woman run up on you like that. You know what I mean? Like, so, there's something that has changed for you that has made that situation shift. So I want to, those two questions. How did you feel about the TT aspect and her being labeled as aggressive, even the things about the memes about her having muscly arms and stuff like that? And then obviously as well, number two, which is how does a man kind of like handle those kind of situations where someone does gonna pretty much can run up on you in that situation. Khalid, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, the discourse between TT being the aggressor, I've seen her being made more manly than she was. I've seen her even in a gorilla caricature. I just didn't like that because I feel like it kind of exposes the whole protect black women, which we should obviously do, but we can't pick and choose which black women to protect, you know. And she didn't interject herself until all the other girls were ganging up on KC. You know what I mean? I would have preferred if there was a one-on-one conversation. I would have preferred TT not even say anything until Ariana pointed to her and asked her how she felt, which they did for most of the other people. But like, if whether I'm your man and you're getting attacked, or the girl is being attacked and the man has to step in, I feel like that's an okay situation. You know what I mean? I feel like I wouldn't have kept it going like TT did. I would have just said my piece and then let it go. But I mean, if Trinity's gonna continue to say what she's saying, and Kate is gonna continue to say what she's saying, I mean, what is she supposed to do? You know, just let her man just sit there and get berated the whole time? Like, I don't know. I just don't like that.
Fair play.
Yeah, I think it was a case of where somebody tries their hardest to not understand your position and where you're coming from. It was one of those situations because it was completely hypocritical what happened. It's that thing where people act like you're the aggressor, and people do that all the time, every day. It's one of the most common manipulation practices. Trinity is talking to KC, and she's telling him something that she was told, which was a lie, right? From the first place, you're accusing him of something before you ask him about it, and you're asking him questions. You're not letting him talk after asking him a question, right? And then everybody's joining in, and this is between him and Anaya, but you've interjected yourself. You took TT's time away because she was being asked to speak, right? All of these things that were happening right next to TT as she sees the guy she's coupled up with getting abused, essentially. So yeah, she's going to say like, "Hey, like relax," and then y'all want to act like she's the one who's being condescending or something like that. When TT was condescending, so like, "Oh, no shade, babe, but I wasn't talking to you." You know how people are going to respond to that. Where we come from, it's only one way to respond when somebody say, "I'm not talking to you." You say, "Well, I was talking to you." Which I didn't care if you was talking to me or not. I was talking to you. That's how that thing goes. So like that was crazy. And I wish KC would have been able to kind of handle that and advocate for himself and kind of be like, "Listen, Trinity, I'm not talking to you. And until you talk with respect, I'm not having a conversation with you. So have some decorum if you want to talk to me." All the ghetto stuff that people love the ghetto stuff when it comes from people they like. They love it, right? But then when TT want to get in the mud with you, it's like, "Oh, TT, why are you making this in the Bad Girls Club?" Because she want to get in the mud because you asked her to get in the mud. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if I would have just sat there and I would have waited for Ariana to step in, like, because there's not really anything you can do when you're trying to get your point across and people are yelling at you and cursing you out. Like, you're only going to really incite the berating more if you continue to try to get your point across when they're obviously not trying to hear you out. So I would have just sat there and looked at Ariana until she was ready to come in and like, "Hey, I need y'all to be quiet right now. Let him speak, and then y'all can come in and say y'all piece." And I would have even allowed Trinity to continue to ask the questions. Like, I feel like you're not really managing what's going on here. And then I feel like that's what needed to happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think, and you guys kind of said at the beginning, right? Casey, a couple of years' time, will probably be able to handle these. Hopefully, be able to handle these situations differently. Yeah, because, and I always say it's like, women know who to try. I'm tell you, women know exactly who to try, right? Because there are men out here, they are never gonna do that. Group or no group, they ain't gonna try it, right? He doesn't have to throw a punch. He doesn't have to be the muscliest guy, whatever. It doesn't have to. It's simply the aura of this is a boundary and this is as far as you go. You know what I'm saying to you? So, because for me personally, I grew up in school and that Casey situation happened to me when I was younger. Because I didn't know how to advocate for myself. You know what I'm saying to you? You're getting called names, you're getting this, you laughed at, and it's because you haven't got an assertive bone in you yet. You know what I'm saying to you? The moment you gather that assertive bone, you're able to let people know, listen, this is as far as you can go. Because the first swear word that came my way would have been like, "Hey, my friend, if you don't pack it up, I'm not having this conversation." Number two, Kada, you call me a little boy. if you're gonna talk to me like that, I'm not talking to you. Don't talk to me. And I told Ariane, listen, until they can speak respect, I'm gonna sit down, and when they're ready to talk like adults, then we can conversate, right? But when you can't advocate for yourself and you can't set a boundary like that, they're gonna keep going. And it's like being in school over again. It's like they got their teeth into you, and the bullies have got you, and they're gonna keep bullying you until one day you swing. And bullies like, oh my God, I can't believe you swung. What the hell? And then they're trying to twist it on you, right? But the reality is you have to have set a boundary early so that the bully can't get to start with the bullying in that moment. And that's the unfortunate thing that Casey in that moment, because I wouldn't in that situation, right? What really hurt me more is that once they got onto my girl, I've got to let everybody know this is as far as you can come. You can do anything you want to be, but let me tell you this now: you're never gonna get my girl. I will never let it happen. You understand what I'm saying to you? As a protector, I think that's us as men, right? It's like, you're cussing me, all right, cool, I'm going to take... But when it gets to my gut, you've crossed the line. So I need you to know how serious I am, and this is as far as you can go. This is familia. This is my family. You don't do that thing. You know what I'm saying to you? And I felt like he left her open a little bit. I know Casey wasn't trying to do it on purpose, but he left her open by not advocating for himself. He left her open to also getting shot as well. You know what I'm saying to you? And it should never be that way. I don't want her to experience that in that space. I don't know how you guys saw that in that respect, because I know you both got families too. So in that space, how did you see that Real Dope Daddy?
As far as the Tiara situation and Tiara having to, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
He's so young, man, and like being that young, and it's typically it's only a couple ways you think you can handle it. You think you either gotta like do what he did, or you gotta yell and scream back, right? I would have loved him to just be like, yo, I'm not talking to y'all until y'all have some decorum. Like, y'all adults, act mature, be mature. Like, all the screaming and yelling, it's not Bad Girls Club, right? Let's have a conversation with me, or don't have a conversation with me. But that's your only options. I would have loved that. I would have loved for him to, like, TT felt like she had to step in. She felt like she had to be the protector, because of where he was. And, I get it. He was confused and just, doing what he think was right. So.
Yeah, and I think with the discourse of it, I feel like people forget that this is not like it's a reality show, but it's not like Kim Kardashian and all these polished reality TV stars. It's your local coffee shop person, your local gym instructor. Like, these are regular people that they're gonna go and insert on an island in Fiji. And I feel like people wanted Casey to have this high standard of how they had a high standard for how Casey should have spoke, and he's just a 22-year-old kid. Like, he's not gonna know how to navigate those type of situations. And I feel like the villainization of him really was annoying just based off of that. Like, we're not taking into account that these are just actual normal 22-year-old people. We want them to talk like they're from Bridgerton or something. Like, we want them to have this high level of intelligence, and for people to just not understand that was really annoying to me.
Appreciate it. The conversation, obviously, with Casey and I was and has been the beef all season long, is whether Casey disrespected Anaya in this place, right? So that's been the discourse and the foundation of the so-called crucify him because he's disrespectful in that space. I want to know, do you feel like Casey was disrespectful? And if so, what do you feel like was disrespectful from Casey's perspective? If you don't think it's disrespectful, okay, cool. Why don't you think he was disrespectful in that particular case of the Casey and Nye situation? Go for it, Khalid.
Me personally, I think that the most disrespectful he probably said was like, "Oh, now she got Carl, she can probably get off my dick." Like, I feel like that's kind of disrespectful. But in terms of the things that he might have said in Casa, I feel like it was more hurtful than it was disrespectful. Like, I don't have anything in common with Anaya. That's not disrespectful. That's just a hurtful truth. Now, should he have said that to her instead of saying it to people in Casa? Correct. But, like, that's not disrespectful. The grandma comment, for me personally, I don't feel like he was talking about sex. I feel like he's talking about she goes to sleep early, and there was a lack of physical intimacy. That does not always mean sex. And the crazy thing about that is Trinity asked Bryce for more physical touch. And a lot of the Islanders asked their person for that. And when we saw Anaya wasn't really giving Casey that, but she was able to give that to Carl at Casa. So like we can understand these nuances with everybody else, but we're not understanding that with Casey and the grandma comment. And that movement that when that thing played, Anaya wasn't even mad about the grandma comment. So it's like this purposeful misconstruction of what Casey was saying that like people got mad at. Because when you ask people how was he disrespectful, the first thing they say is the grandma comment. How are y'all more mad than she was? The only person who can consider it disrespect is the person who the comment was made about. You feel me? We can have our opinions, but like if she didn't find it disrespectful, why is that y'all main talking point? You feel me? So I just feel like it was a lot more hurtful stuff. I feel like he said, he was really holding stuff in throughout the first 3 weeks of Casa. And when he got to Casa, he started popping his stuff. He was with his boys. And when you with your boys, you gonna talk your stuff. Now he should have understood that he was being televised. I don't know why he was talking like he wasn't being televised. But like, if you ask a girl right now to pull up their group chat with their girls, it's not gonna be the best of conversation about somebody's boyfriend or husband in that conversation. Same with the boys. When we with our boys, we're gonna be talking our stuff, and it is what it is. I feel like to like not understand that nuance of it, that's where like these discourses are going on.
Yeah, I think that's where like the hypocrisy comes in, like, cause like how do you girls talk about guys that you've been dating for 2 weeks and you don't want to date them no more? Like, what type of respect do you give those guys in your phone to your group chat when you're talking to your friend about the nigga you met 2 weeks ago, and oh he gave you the ick, and it's time to like move on? Like you probably talking about him like a dog, right? So I don't think my position is I don't think he said anything disrespectful, because I don't think he said it to her. I can talk to my friend. I'd be like, yo, shorty on my dick. Okay, I said it to my homie. I'm not taking that back. That's why I felt, and I said it to my homie. What does that mean? That means that, oh, I'd like you to leave me alone, or you on me too much, right? It's just a colloquialism. I don't think he disrespected her when he said she like grandma. Okay, like a girl, I can say that about my girl right now. I can literally go and say, like, oh, she like a grandma. She go to bed early and like she didn't give me no booty. I can say that about her right now if I wanted to. She wouldn't take it nowhere, right? Like people just picking and choosing. I don't think anything he did was disrespectful. I think he pretty much just he was just moving. I would say that he was moving selfishly, right? Which is not disrespectful. It's hurtful. I get it. I think he could have did a lot of things better, but I think disrespect. I think if we want to call what he did disrespect, then we got to talk about Anaya and her manipulation and trying to manipulate him and call that disrespect too, right? When he's like, yo, I want to explore soul, and you tell him that it's okay, but then you try to you cry and you use the tears and you want to try to use your tears to get him to to react certain ways and stuff like that. That's technically disrespectful if we're using the same measuring stick. So, yeah.
No, I definitely hear that, man. And there are some, it's interesting. Like whether I agree or disagree, actually, it's quite interesting discourse, because I don't think he was disrespectful, but I can understand why someone might feel that way, right? But the reality is that the disrespect that they're talking about is disproportionate to the anger I'm seeing, right? Because the throwing of the word disrespect, we can all look at the behaviors, right? And reminding ourselves that the disrespect word was actually thrown before movie night, right? So she only got a glimpse of him moving on with another girl and him moving, etc., right? And this is why I feel like why there needs to be more discourse around this, because why I said about the emotional and verbal abuse is because also in this situation now, they've had conversations about going away. I say going away, but what he said was basically said, go and do what you're going to do. A brother goes and does what he does. And now we're calling him disrespectful because he went and did what he wanted to do. You should say what you mean. I always tell people, listen, don't say something, and then when the person goes and does, he say, well, I didn't mean that. No, you can't say that. Say what you mean. Nobody's a mind reader here. Be literal with what you're saying so that people can know exactly what it is. So if you're then saying go and do what you got to do, and you go to Casa and he does what he does, right? Okay, that's all you saw, right? There was no conversation at that point until movie night. So again, and so for me personally, I didn't say, but let's say he was disrespectful. I'd say him being disrespectful, okay, I wouldn't hold him as the only one. Are we saying that Sincere was not disrespectful? Are we saying Sincere wasn't? Are we saying Corbin's not in the same boat? You know what I'm saying? True. Like, are we not saying Zach is in the same boat? Because they all do the exact same thing, apart from Bryce. Because Bryce had Sydney, but I don't think he wants to do it. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying to you? Like they were all in the same boat apart from probably Bryce, right? So why was the label so heavy for KC as being disrespectful, and we're seeing others get away with it scot-free? You know what I'm saying to you? I guess we're coming to that part of the conversation in that area now. So, you know, as to why that's happening. Yes, Khalid, I'll go to you first, and I'll go to Real Dope after.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is like one of my last videos I had just made. Like, people are having a conversation of disrespect versus disrespect, but they're not going past that. They want to stick to that, and we're not talking about why does the punishment not meet the crime. You know what I mean? And it's like when Casey. Sorry, I'm blanking. My bad. My baby is not letting me have this conversation.
But
Can you go to can you go to him? I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, do your thing, man. Do your thing, bro. No problem. Go for Real Dope.
Yeah, ask me that question again that you just asked him.
Yeah, no, I was saying, why is it that KC's disrespect is the one that's being highlighted so much in comparison to everybody else's disrespect, which is going on as well? In fact, since they continue to disrespect, you know what I mean? He didn't even finish.
I think it's because of Anaya's perceived position in the villa. Anaya might be the villa little sister, or she might be like the villa nice girl or something like that, that nobody wants anybody to break her heart or do anything. And that might be part of, the manipulation thing of how she uses her tears and stuff and her feelings as power. They play a part into that. But I think that was probably most of what it was how could you do this to Anaya and she likes you? And then like he's not telling everybody else that he told her he wanted to explore Soul, and he told her that Soul was pretty and stuff like that. They think that he probably been telling her one thing, and we had signs of you getting to this Casa Amor and acting crazy and choosing another girl. Like, I understand relationships, and I know that relationships get rocky for a lot of people. And we saw it leading up to that moment where they was about to read the letters, and we didn't even know if they was going to choose each other, right? We saw things getting rocky before he even left to Casa Amor. So yeah, no, I think it was way overblown for sure.
No, I definitely hear that as well. And I think, it was when I watched it, I was like, the fact that, and I think what's also interesting is the fact that Sincere is also good friends with Anaya. And I find it fascinating that Anaya has so much energy for KC, and a person is dogging out your girl, and you are cool with them. You know what I'm saying to you? And the audience is like, but wow. And they're still trying to defend it. And I find it fascinating that the cognitive dissonance that they have to go through in order to actually be accepting of the fact that Anaya is good friends with somebody dogging out your girl, and you're chilling with that person. But you want to talk about disrespect with the person who's trying to move on and get on with his time, which actually, funny enough, with production doing everything they did, between, I think, after that last kind of like the sorry, we don't hear him talk about Anaya again. But Anaya keeps talking about him. At every corner and chance. Khalid, you're back. Talk to us.
Yeah, I feel like Sincere, he'll do the disrespect, but he'll talk in such like a passive way where it's not like seen as like a disrespectful tone. In versus KC, the way that he was talking, popping his stuff, I feel like people will find that more abrasive in a sense. So like, and I what I've learned is a lot of women care about the words more than the actions. There's a lot of people who relate to Melanie because how many girls will have a guy that would tell them, hey, this guy is doing XXX, and it will continue to go back to that person. You know what I mean? So me personally, the words matter more in this situation. And I mean, there's a little bit to it, to the fact that Anaya did find Sincere attractive. She was really overly going to support Team Sincere with Anaya. I feel like that plays a little bit of it, but it is a little bit of a hypocrisy. I mean, Sincere did way worse, 10 times worse than you can even say that KC did, and that's even like a area of discussion. there's no discussion about did Sincere do anything wrong. And I feel like that's where like the issue comes in for me. And I feel like we're just holding the black man more to a higher standard than we would the lighter skinned man. And I feel like that's just the conversation that needs to be happening.
I see the hypocrisy, but I think that there are other things at play. Like, for example, Sincere is just very naturally manipulative. I don't even think he tries it, right? I think it's just like, you know, whenever you around him, like he got this thing where he sounds sincere in everything that he's saying, you know, like, yeah, man, I've been doing Melanie wrong. I really want to get better. Like, I'm just, you know, I just want to make her breakfast every day and just see what I can do. How can I get on her good side, man? Like, when you say stuff like that, you know, it's like, all right, it's harder to see him as like the villain, as somebody who don't know how to talk like that.
Mm-hmm. You know? He knows how to talk to women for sure.
Yeah, like Sincere is like more extroverted in a way where most people around him probably end up being friends with him in some way, right? Because like his personality is very like, you know, so I think that played a big part in Anaya, you know, kind of thinking like, no, Sincere really likes you because like, all right, I'm manipulating Melanie, but I'm manipulating you too with my smooth talk and all that type of stuff. So I think I don't think KC had that ability.
Nope.
Which is honestly, I don't think Anaya was like, I don't think she was stingy per se. I just think KC wasn't giving her the energy of like, yo, like let's, you know, I think it was probably just him not really knowing. I don't think it's her like, oh, I like Carl more, because we saw that she didn't have more chemistry with Carl. It was just that, you know, KC, I think he just ain't had the moves a little bit. I don't know.
He also had like this weird like confirmation thing. Like if whenever he did something wrong, the girls would like talk to him about it. Melanie talked to him about it. It was consistent. Yeah, I understand. I hear where you come from. Yeah, you're right. Like almost to the point of like cutting them off. But it was just like constant. I don't know if that like gave the girl like a sense of like safety or like reassurance. But I do think that like he just knows how to like say the right thing at the right time to get himself out of a situation. And he's obviously very likable. He had a lot of people to the point where he has Anaya and Trinity doing the work for him. Like when they had the whole hideaway situation, he didn't say anything. Trinity advocated for him. So it's like he's right that he does have a way of talking to women that makes them feel safe in that situation.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think what's interesting about it is that the Sincere in the case situation, there's several components. Yes, Sincere is much more smoother and therefore can win people over with his manipulation. I also feel like KC is suffering from what I call there's several components of KC. And I look at Love Island like school, right? KC is not the most popular anymore. You know what I'm saying to you, right? And when you're not the most popular and you're also a little bit awkward, right? You're going to get dummy whammy. And Sincere with his smoothness, a bit more charismatic, you know, can talk to the girl, he gets that leeway, right? Because he holds a status, he also and the way that he maneuvers with people. And that's what I said about KC. KC's like, you know what KC reminds me of almost is the good-looking nerd. You don't get the same grace. You can say the same thing that someone else said, but you are the good-looking nerd, and they're going to collapse you because you're the good-looking nerd. They don't feel like you have the audacity to say that, because everything that Sincere did, even when he told them to shut up, and you know what they did? They shut up.
Mm-hmm.
He told them to shut up, and they did what? They shut up. Was that not aggressive? Was that not red pill? Mm-hmm. Right? Was that not manosphere as they've been labeled in KC? And so actually, he suffers not just from that. He suffers from the fact that being of a black man of a darker skin tone, you are automatically labeled as you are a danger. And so when you're on these shows, you don't get the grace. That is why when he stood up, the ladies are saying, oh my God, he stood up. He stood up in his own area. And yet, actually, I've got a clip for you guys of something that happened. I don't know if you've seen this.
That comes from movie night when Sincere and Trinity were kind of going back and forth. And he was very heated of the moment. He stood up and he was like, Trinity, you haven't even explored. And it became a meme, and it's in the villa at least, and it's fucking.
So it looks like KC ain't the only one standing up here, but they didn't show us that part, right? We know Melanie stood up. We know Anaya stood up, right? But we're now hearing that Sincere stood up. But do you know what we haven't heard? We haven't heard the same discourse around any of those three people. You know what I mean? So it's that situation where unfortunately he's getting hit harder with all the things that have happened, because unfortunately colorism plays a role. It does play a role in the situation, you know. Yes, go for it, Khalid.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw the same thing with Taylor and Alandria last year. I mean, he kind of led her on. Like everybody understood that the chemistry wasn't really there. I mean, you can see it in the way that they kissed each other; it wasn't there. And then he chose Clark and Casa, and he got absolutely shit on for the entirety of the show, to the point where they got eliminated right after he asked her to be the girlfriend. The same thing with Casey and TT. And it's like you put a black man on the show, and his sole purpose is to go and be with one of the black women on the show. And if we saw when Casey was thinking about Soul, they were trying to put the colorist tag on him, but he didn't go. He ended up choosing TT. So it's like you can't use that. So now we have to go to other things to express why we're upset that you did not choose this black woman, and you made this black woman cry on national television. I think that's the real crux of it. Like there is like the girls thing and the protect black women, and that's cool. But when you can't put something on him at first, you try to put these things. I seen somebody call him the R word. I don't know if I can say it on here, but they call him that stuff. They call him a red pill guy. And in my mind, how could he be red pill if he's making breakfast for somebody? You know, he's doing all these submissive things. He's calling somebody the blueprint. He's doing all these things that would go against that. I feel like a red pill. That's Andrew Tate and them. You know, like they wouldn't even give this show the time of day. So he also stopped Melanie from going upstairs to crash out. Like I feel like if he's this bad person like they're saying, he wouldn't do all these great things in his community, having people come out and run in the community. That's something that shows that he's a decent person, and I don't feel like we're giving him that grace to make mistakes, given he's a 22-year-old person on the TV.
I hear it. Go for it. Did you want to say something real dope?
Acting like anybody's a bad person on the show is just like crazy, right? They just young, dumb kids who is trying to figure it out, right? So acting like anybody's genuinely like a bad person, I think that's crazy. Like specifically KC, who like when we talk about Taylor and I think a lot of these situations that people don't know what they feel themselves. I don't like we could see that Taylor and Olandria there was no chemistry there. They telling themselves like, oh no, you know, maybe it's just slow. No, it ain't slow. You don't like that girl. You're not attracted to her. She's kind of attracted to you, maybe, or maybe she don't really care that much about attraction. But we could tell that he didn't really. Even with Bryce and Trinity, they don't like each other. Y'all might like each other, but y'all don't got no chemistry. I ain't seen that boy touch her butt this whole season. He didn't been more intimate with Zach. Like they didn't kiss, but like we ain't see no passion between them two. We ain't see none of that. Like. And if they would have had legitimate options come in, I think they would have jumped ship both of them. Trinity been ready to jump ship this whole time. When Corbin came in, the way she was looking at him and talking to him, but then you just realize like, oh, I'm probably not his type. You ain't Corbin type. Corbin like him, you know. So it's like, and Bryce wanted to explore Kata, but Kata like, nah, bro. So he didn't really have no options that he could really explore, right? Nobody was really into him, so. Yeah, I think they both would have jumped ship too. So,
and Bryce and Zach are close, like super close. He's not gonna just go behind. Like he didn't go behind his back, but he's not gonna go tell his best friend, "Hey, I want to talk to your girl because I think that there might be something there." If he didn't really want to pursue that, you know what I mean? Like that's something that's pretty looked down upon. You going after your bro's girl, you know. And he also made a good point about the production. I feel like the production kind of led these things to happen. You over here having no dates. There was few bombshells. People forget that Kata and Gabe were both bombshells. You know, there was a lack of bombshells. There was lack of dates in season 6 because I had to watch season 6 because people were telling me you can't just watch season 7 8. There was Andrea and Nicole came in. They were able to take 2 men each on dates. Imagine if Soul and Soulja and Caleb were able to come in and take 2 people each from couples to go out on a date. I feel like Soul would have definitely chose Casey and Sincere, and who knows how that would have happened. Instead, they told those bombshells to just go in and figure it out. That's creating a hostile dynamic. Soul has to go and basically steal somebody, and then they had America basically break up Melanie and Sincere. Now we're having Soul be villainized, you know what I mean, for something that she can't even control. So I feel like if they would have just had more bombshells, more consistently, more dates to like have the dynamic be the show is creating this tension versus these people are coming in to create this tension, I feel like that would have went better as well. Yeah.
I think they really dropped the ball with the bombshells this season. I don't know what they was doing. Like y'all should have had way more bombshells, way more often, way earlier. Like they really, I just felt like they let everybody get into these strong couples, then they threw some bombshells in, and it's like, yeah, that don't make the show interesting, you know. So
yeah, Caleb got lucky. I mean, he found somebody in Casa. That's pretty much the only reason why he was able to stay as long. Jen, she got paired with Gabe, and then Gabe got eliminated. She almost got eliminated herself. I feel like they just didn't create a good dynamic, and maybe it's because they had lost a producer or something. Somebody died, but like that just shows y'all weren't really prepared. Y'all didn't plan the season beforehand. I would figure that y'all would have the bombshells, the dates, everything mapped out for the entire season. So like even though somebody did die, why would that deter from the plans that y'all had made prior to the season starting? So I don't think that they handled this well at all.
I agree with you, lot, man. I think they took away that power of the bombshells to be able to take them on a date, get a connection, get close to them. You know what I'm saying? And at least then, you know, make them have a choice in that space. So it was unfortunate that they did it this way. And it created a whole lot of mess as well alongside that. And it felt like the production just wanted to lean into the messy. I don't know if, you know, losing the director made them more discombobulated. Grief can make you do some crazy things. So I can understand, you know, in that space where grief kind of like takes you out of the game, and maybe the team went on their best A game, because it felt like it felt like, you know, they had to find something to pin all hopes on, and that became KC. They pinned all their hopes on the villain. You know what I'm saying to you? And it was interesting to see that. I think with the connections that they were building, you know, earlier on was I think there was a game plan by the people, the girls that got there, right? They're thinking to themselves, you know what, we stick together from the beginning, we get to the end, because Kayla's actually a bombshell, like you said. So she's part of the core 4, but she was actually a bombshell. We stick together, we get there. And I think that also is why Casey got hit so hard, because we have Melanie sticking with Sincere, we have Kayla sticking with Zach, we have Trinity sticking with Bryce from the very beginning, and now we have Anaya supposed to stick with KC. But Casey decides, I don't want to enter the Matrix. I want to be outside of it. I don't want to be in this little matrix that you got going on, and actually ruined what the core 4 were actually producing to get to that top. Because had he stayed with Anaya, this might have been a win, right? This might have been a win. If he had faked it all the way through, this could have been a win. But I also understand why man's got to be true to himself. And if you're irritating me, I'm not getting no touchies. I'm not getting no love. I'm not getting no affection. Oh, I'm never gonna fake. There's nothing to fake. There's nothing here, blood. So I also understand that perspective as well in that space. I also want to add before I ask one last question, because I know time's gone to the hour. No?
Oh.
Okay. Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, I was saying no. Good.
Oh, okay. I guess the last question then to ask, and maybe we have to do a part 2 of this, because I think there's a lot to tackle in 1 hour as well, right? There's been a lot of talk around Red Pill. A lot of talk about Red Pill. I feel like Red Pill has been used like the word narcissist. The women found it, and they just started utilizing that word, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Without no deep understanding, without no deeper research about Red Pill. I'm seeing people writing content. I say content, people writing these on magazine scripts. I'm seeing people do online articles and stuff like that, talking about, and most importantly, is usually Casey at the front of it as being Red Pill manosphere, right? And I find it so intriguing, because I was on Threads a lot, and I'm seeing women talk about Red Pill, and I'm asking them, tell me what Red Pill is. I don't think I had one woman explain to me what Red Pill is. You understand? I don't know. I feel like what happens is sometimes people don't sit down with an idea to really be able to understand what it is. It's almost like what Kevin Samuels became with the women. It's like there was part. By the way, I didn't agree with Kevin Samuels a lot of things. I ain't gonna hold you. So me and him, we're not seeing eye to eye on things. But you know, like when you can't explain something, and you're just letting your feelings run. Instead of actually really looking at what's actually happening, they're going to just bundle everything together. I don't like it, so I'm going to throw red pill over it. But there's no understanding about it. I don't like it, I'm going to throw manosphere all over it. And it's like, hold on a minute. Tell me what that is, because you're saying to me this person is red pill, and I'm looking at it going, yeah, that's not red pill. Like that's not red pill. And anybody who disagrees with you is an incel. It's like, that's not what red pill and incel is in that space as well. So I was intrigued by that. I don't know how you boys saw it with the red pill conversation, the manosphere conversation. Apparently men are and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know how you guys saw it. Real dope. Talk to me.
I think it's crazy. But I get it. I understand it. So I consider red pill to be two different things. So you have the red pill, the idea of red pill, right? Which is what it's supposed to mean, which is just the truth, whether you like it or not. And then you have the red pill community, which, you know, is a space where hurt men gravitate towards for refuge to attack women whenever they get the opportunity, and they consume content that just likes to, you know, wherever women are getting slam dunked on, kicked out, like things like that, they just like to be able to see that and make them feel better. So those are two different things. So KC's not at all red pill. The men defending KC for the most part are not red pill at all. They're just reasonable and they just see what's going on. But like, yeah, throwing a red pill over it is like, it's corny. Somebody called me red pill today. I'm like, yo, red pill niggas hate me. Like, they fucking hate me. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything he said. I mean, I feel like if you view women as your equal or somewhere around there, I feel like you can't possibly be red pill. I feel like red pill is just like, you completely feel like you're superior to women with no like logical basis to that. It's just women should be under you, and there should be no discussion about that. And I feel like there's been nothing on the show for Casey to exhibit that behavior, nothing at all. And I feel like I would challenge them to actually have examples of that situation, because just popping your stuff at Casa, that's not an example of red pill. That's just you venting out your frustrations. At least you can see it that way. And I feel like if there's some discussion there where it seems like the discussion is 50-50, then we can't just put these labels out on these people, especially given how damaging that is. Like Andrew Tate, that's a guy who's not really welcome everywhere because of his content. So you putting these labels on people like that without even fully knowing what it means, that's a very damaging thing to a 22-year-old to a 22-year-old who just got out of college. You know, so that's why I'm at with that.
No, I definitely agree with that. And it's funny because I love the way you put it across as well, real dope as well, is that we have to, and that's why I was asking women what they understood about red pill, because what they're really identifying is when there's a stage called red pill rage, where men get to a stage where they're just angry, right? And if they don't evolve, they stay in that position where everything about a woman just becomes angry. That's the incel stage, right? That they're talking about. It's a specific stage. Incels don't ever evolve, right? But most men who go through that have either come out of that and gone, I don't need to stay there because I need to keep angry. It's not going to help me. And they grow out of it. Now, the actual ideology about red pill, most people, men and women, actually identify with red pill more than they actually like to say, right? Because what red pill ideology actually focuses on, right? It promotes strong boundaries, financial independence. You should be physically fit, purpose and discipline. You have a better understanding of what attraction is, right? And not making a relationship your whole identity. Now, are there some tenets that I don't agree with? Absolutely. Okay. All right. When I first got into red pill page, when I was first understanding, because I came across it on the internet, I was like, some of these things are mad. Things like where you're always saying all women are this or all women are that. I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? You can't date and love someone and always think they're all manipulative. They're all liars. They all this. They all want this. They don't all want everything. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So that thing for me, the generalizations and sweeping generalizations by certain red pill content creators was a problem. You know what I'm saying to you? And so for me personally, I'm disappointed by the way they covered that red pill aspect. But in terms of attraction, we mostly followed it. In fact, Love Island itself is a red pill island because it bases it on the physical attributes. When people are choosing people, they're not choosing them because your personality is amazing. They're choosing them because you look good. When they first start, they start kissing each other. Everything's very physical. How do you make the deduction if you're going to do these things? Because you physically are attracted to somebody. So the more fit somebody is, the more the person's able to have better boundaries, the more that somebody's able to, be able to. We're seeing with Sincere. The more that is manipulative, the more that he's getting liked. He's not even going the opposite way. The more that he does more of these factors of being toxic, women are saying that men are these things. But the more that he's being toxic, the more the women are defending him. The more that women are coming and saying, well, let's make the concession about Sincere because he does talk a bit more softly than KC. Well, then you're proving the point. This is what I'm saying to you, that men can get away with certain things because women actually allow these men to do these things. So then this is what Red Pill actually highlights. Now, it's not all good. I understand that. But there's a lot of things in there. It's just highlighting observation of the way that we move as human beings. So for me, I was like, when you're utilizing it in a way as a weapon and saying that a man is because you want to label him with a certain type of red pill in terms of the way that they behave, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying to you? In that space. But yeah, final points, because guys, I know the time, I don't want to take you more than an hour, but final points in this. I think we have to probably do a part 2, so because there's too much to cover. Khalid, go for it. Give us your final points, man.
Yeah, I would just say I kind of expected better from Love Island. Like the whole vote thing at the end, having us vote for 3 other couples, and including KC, instead of just having a single. Who do you want to be in the final? I feel like that alone should just tell you where the Love Island Productions mindset was. I mean, the previous vote where we had to vote for least compatible, they tried to, instead of doing most compatible, they did least compatible. KC fans still understood, because you can get tricked up by that. Instead of just reading the font, you could just vote for who you want to vote for, and that could have messed up the KC vote too. But they had least compatible, and KC still was at the top 4, KC and TT. And Kayla and Zach were in the bottom. And then we see in this finale, Kayla and Zach were 4th place. So I just feel like if they had just kept the vote the same way, Casey would have been in, and I don't think they would have won. I still think Trinity and Bryce would have won. I think they were always going to win. But it's like y'all did not have to do that. Y'all were still going to get your outcome. You could have let the outcomes go as they may. And I just think that they kind of added the fuel to the fire. We see a whole bunch of brands coming out and saying bad things about Casey and Sincere too. But I just hope for next season they can understand the discourse that is becoming on, that men are not coming out into this space to defend somebody who doesn't deserve defending, and have a better season next season, because we don't deserve any racism or BS for anybody really. I mean, I know you got some stuff too, so like it's not just on KC, but I would just like a better discourse next season, a more logical and healthy discussion between both parties.
Appreciate it.
I think well, like I said, I watch it because I like love. I like to talk about love and those type of things. So when people like Bryce and Trinity win, I hate it. I hate when people like that. When I hated last season when the other couple, Olandria and Nick won. They won, right, last season?
Amaya and
no,
won, and that's cool.
I didn't like them either. I want
conversation.
But it was almost like
Chelsea.
It was almost like Alandria and Nick won, from the response. But yeah, I hate all the non, like I want to see passion between couples. Like I want to see all of that. So when Bryce and Trinity win, I'm like, honestly, at this point, I didn't even think nobody should. I would have been comfortable if nobody won. If they just kind of like, after they sent KC and them home, which was one of the only. Well, Melanie and Sincere are a real couple, but also they got a bunch of stuff going on. But yeah, I hate the way it ended up. But I think that men should start watching it more and study it, because it's a good thing to like kind of study people. And yeah, start voting. That's another thing. Men in general, we don't vote for a lot of things. We don't get up. We don't let our voices be heard when it comes to a lot of things. So it is going to be difficult getting men to participate, outside of watching it, but then also voting and watching it. That's going to be an uphill battle. But I definitely think it's something a lot of men would enjoy.
I think this season was a good start, though. I mean, we seen like a whole bunch of like the basketball community, the football community. Like I feel like we kind of vote when our brothers and our partners are coming in to vote too. So a lot of us were like, hey, download the app, go vote. I feel like next season there might be more of that camaraderie going on. So I'm interested to see how next season goes. This season was kind of like, especially with the lack of bombshells and dates that happened this season. So
Appreciate it. Well, boys, listen, thank you so much for this, man. It's been an amazing conversation. You know, and you guys have been articulate, and I appreciate the depth that you guys brought to the conversation as well. We have to definitely do a part 2 for sure, man, because there's so much to cover in this Love Island, so many different concepts as well. Because we even touch, you know, like the brand situation, you touched on Khalid as well, something that I want to touch on, but there's so much around that in terms of some of the tweets, some of the things that they've posted, and why I'm saying it's actually disgusting, some of the stuff that's happened. They don't realize it's bullying that they're incorporating on a global level. And we didn't get to even touch on the fact that TT's comments around that this is happening to them because they're black, and then black people saying to them, how can you tell us about having a black experience? Black people actually invalidating other black people's experience because they don't like them. It's crazy. We definitely have to have that conversation as well another time. So look, audience, it's been amazing. I was joined by Khalid and Real Dope Daddy. Please make sure you follow Khalid. Where can they follow you?
Khalid_Murray on Instagram, and if you just search up Khalid Murray, you'll find me. My name is pretty unique, I guess.
Appreciate it. And Real Dope Daddy, he's on YouTube as well. So y'all already followed him before when he's on a platform. So but yeah, look, guys, it's gonna be a great conversation, hopefully in part 2. And then I'm sure we'll get some other people in there and some ladies as well who want to come and have their say as well. But definitely a great conversation. So listen, audience, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Make sure you stay safe out here. Okay, all right. There's a lot that's happening out here. So be easy. All right. Bye-bye.